I think the reason have been successful is that I have a God-given ability. I was blessed with some hand-eye coordination, and with horseshoes, there's a lot of precision involved in horseshoes, so a lot of elements go into throwing a ringer. And I figured out how to be good at it and figured out how to stay good at it. I've had 26 men's world titles. I was also a junior world champion 4 consecutive years. In all, I've won 30 world championships since the age of 12. I give my dad credit, maybe my granddad credit, because he really was the instigator, I'll call him. And then my mom entered us into the state horseshoe tournament. That was in 1979. So we went to St. Joe, Missouri and competed in the state tournament that year. And from there, we were totally hooked. I am surprised at the amount of success I've had. I always felt like I could be a world champion, and I remember when I was, 10 years old, saying I think I can be a world champion, and that's what I wanted to be. And then when I was 12, I got my first one, so that was a big deal. But to kind of look back and see the number of world championships I've won, never would have guessed or even thought or even dreamed that maybe I would win that many.
He's a very humble pitcher, so he doesn't let the ego get involved with his competition. He knows he can be beaten at any moment, and he respects his competitors, he respects the game.
I have lost several world championships. In general, probably even the years that I didn't win or wasn't world champion, I probably had the best ringer percentage. So I was throwing more ringers in general than my opponents, but I just lost a couple of key games along the way. And that's just what it is. That's the way it is. And the wins wouldn't mean nearly as much without those losses. So that's the way I try to look at it. Like I said, you grow from the times that you're not the victor. You grow from those and you learn and you become better. Everything I do with horseshoe seems to be geared around preparing for the world tournament and world championship. The local tournaments that we have here in Ohio that we travel to, that's the best way for me to prepare is, I practice at home, but that alone doesn't prepare me for that. It's the small tournaments that I go to that has pretty good competition. That's what gets me prepared for the World Championship. I don't know that there are any secrets, although I get questioned by it a lot. What's your technique? What's the most important thing that you do that makes you good? I talk about balance a lot. I think that's key to being precise, is the balance that you maintain throughout your pitch. You've got all aspects. You've got downswing, you've got upswing, you've got how big is your step, and just putting all of that together as a kind of a fluid motion is really what you have to strive for. I've just been blessed to have people around me that I could continue to play and enjoy the sport. I've had jobs that have allowed me to travel, time off. And then I was blessed with a wife who came from a horseshoe pitching family. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that either, because she enjoys it right along with me. It's not a chore for me to have to do. She encourages me and travels with me, and actually I probably wouldn't play as much as I do if not for her.
Alan has this uncanny way of being able to get in the zone. When people ask him, what do you think about when you're pitching? He says, I think about making a ringer. What else are you thinking about? Nothing.
Well, ringer percentage, that's kind of how you gauge how good you are. You gauge it by wins, tournament wins, victories. But in general, horseshoe pitchers talk about their ringer percentage. When I think of 90%, I think of the world tournaments that I've averaged 90%. To throw a game of 90% for a horseshoe pitcher, I mean, that's like a game of a lifetime. But for me to look back and think that I averaged for a whole tournament, for a 3-day event, 15 games, 20 games, whatever it was, and to average 90% for all of that, I'm very proud of that because that had never been done at the World Tournament in the history of horseshoe, never been done. And I did it for the first time in 2009. And then I thought that's probably the pinnacle of my, of my pitching career. And then I accomplished that twice again since then. But I still think I have more left in me. I think I'm young enough and still playing well enough that I can win more world championships, and I plan to.
Today I had 5 games, so that the competition just got stiffer every game. Coming in the #1 seed, I had to play the 5 guys right below me, kind of in order. So it ended up being Drew and I, the #2 guy for the last game and for the title.
Up here with a perfect record of 15-0, a ringer percent of 85.56, now 27-time men's world champion from Ohio.
So this is championship number 27. It's 11 consecutive. So that's a new world record. They're both new world records. You know, it never gets old. People ask me that. After so many, does it get old? It never gets old. As a competitor, I always want to win. I always think I can do a little better than I did the last time. And I got a whole crop of younger guys coming up that are really getting good. So I'm going to try to hold them off as long as I can. They'll get me eventually, but for now, I still have what it takes, I think, to be world champion.